What's up, guys? It's Ben with 2020 election predictions. And today I'm going to talk about this map right here on Twitter. And I have four tweets open overall that kind of go over where the 2020 election is right now, and specifically right after Trump's rally that he just held. I watched parts of the rally on TV, and I thought it was very interesting and will definitely have an impact on the 2020 race. I think this was kind of the unofficial start of Trump's reelection campaign. And Joe Biden, while he hasn't officially started his, he has been very successful in his strategy so far of just kind of having pre-recorded videos of him in his basement, as people say. But right now, the polls are looking really, really good for Joe Biden. So in today's video, I'm going to do a combination of kind of 2020 election predictions, while also kind of giving some commentary on the two different campaigns and what is going to be in the news in the future. So just diving right in, I was looking on Twitter right after the rally, and hashtag Trump 2020 landslide is trending. Some people are using the hashtag ironically, like plural vote, but the people who were at the rally, I saw they were saying hashtag Trump 2020 landslide. You see it just popped up right here. But one thing I think is pretty interesting is this map that I saw pop up by plural vote. So what this map shows is that right now, nationally, Trump is polling 8.4 points lower than what he won in 2016, which right now, that is not looking great. One thing I think is also important to note is that he's polling 3.6 points worse than he was doing in the 2016 June poll. So what this shows is that Trump, even in 2016, was polling a lot lower in 2016. Maybe the polls were a little bit off, but also Trump improved his standing as the year went on, and there were several fluctuations here. But I think this map is actually a lot more damaging to Trump than a lot of people will realize. So in 2016, like the polls were so wrong. That was the headline. There was all this hidden Trump support that just people didn't account for. But this right here, it is not necessarily showing like who is up in the polls right now, Biden or Trump, but it is showing the trends. It is showing the change in margin of support. It is showing delta um, margin of support. And you can see that the entire country is kind of a light shade of blue with a few outliers like Arkansas and California. California is the only state that's trended red, but obviously that does not matter. And this is not looking good for Trump right now. And I will say right now, where the average is in the polls is probably the worst that Trump is going to get. In my last video, I kind of made the bold prediction that Trump cannot fall further than he is right now. And right now, I will stand by that prediction, but there's the possibility that it could drop further. But this is still pretty bad, and we don't have exact numbers, but like in a state like Michigan, Trump is polling here plus 10 points worse than he did in 2016. And I mean, this is just not good. In 2016, Trump was not that popular. He was not that favorable in the ratings. And this has demonstrated that he hasn't necessarily gained as much support as a lot of incumbents do. Just with the incumbency advantage, and like they can show their record. And I would be really interested to see this map before the coronavirus hit, because I do think it would be a little more multicolored with some red and blue pockets here. But if we look at the states that matter, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, and Arizona, they're all like D+5. And the polls show that right now, and it just really is not looking favorable to the Trump campaign. Can they turn it around? We will see. So the next tweet that I wanted to look at, there was all this talk about how the crowd size was a lot smaller. I was watching it on TV, and it is very true. From the optics, at the beginning of the rally, you could see on kind of the zoomed out view, there was a lot of empty seats. And also, this was trending on Twitter that they were going to have two rallies, one outside and one inside, but they actually scrapped the one outside. The campaign manager made that decision because not as many people turned out. And there are probably a lot of reasons for this. I mean, coronavirus being one thing. They did change the dates from Juneteenth to June 20th, so there's plenty of reasons for that. But the optics did not look good at the beginning, and people were just talking about that a lot because a lot of Trump's energy in 2016 was from his rallies. I mean, CNN and a ton of these newscasters literally would show the empty podium of Trump, and they would broadcast his rallies in full, which just gave him free advertising. I mean, there's estimates that he got like over $1 billion in free advertising from the news media that he rails on all the time. But one thing that I think will be ignored by the mainstream media is that President Trump's rally did get a lot of viewers online. So whether it was like the Fox News broadcast, C-SPAN, or the Team Trump digital media channels, there was a lot of energy online, and this broke records for a lot of viewership online. And I think that was a lot due to because there was a lot of there was a lot of excitement about this, and I don't necessarily think that all these viewers were necessarily diehard Trump supporters. They're probably people just really interested to see like as entertainment value. But this is just a really interesting piece of information because people are interested about it. And I mean, there's a lot of hype in the media beforehand, like, oh, this is going to be a coronavirus hotspot, or like all this stuff. And like people were really concerned that, wow, like this could cause the second wave, this single-handed event. I don't think it will, but one thing that the news media is definitely going to like focus on a lot is just like whether there was like spreading of the coronavirus at this event. We saw that the New York Times retweeted that 2 members of the Secret Service in Tulsa have tested positive. I saw a report that I think 6 Trump campaign officials tested positive. And I mean, presumably there were some people who were who had the coronavirus at this rally who just didn't know it and were probably spreading it unintentionally. We will see the extent to which that is true and like how many people do become sick. And I mean, everyone will be hoping and praying that no one dies from this and no one really gets seriously sick from this. But it is just the reality of the situation that this has just gotten very, very political. So I think that would be a very interesting data point, and it's just going to be inherently political, even though that I kind of wish just as a country this didn't have to be political. Anyway, so one of the last things that I want to look at, and this is more into the content of Trump's speech at his rally, and I didn't really watch the entire thing. I just watched bits and pieces of it. But the Lincoln Project which is one of the groups that are kind of the Republicans against Trump. I mean, there's the Lincoln Projects, there's RVAT, Republicans for the Rule of Law, some other ones. But what they tweet is, with mentions of AOC, MS-13, and the looming boogeyman of socialism, the reality show president never learned one of the great rules of TV. You can't make season 2 with last year's plot, which I think is a pretty interesting statement. We saw that like Trump has kind of sneakily changed his campaign slogan from "Keep America Great" to "Make America Great Again" in response to, I think, the coronavirus and the economy kind of tanking. At this point, saying keeping America as it is doesn't really work. But I think that these things worked in 2016. I mean, obviously, Trump didn't mention AOC specifically because she was not a politician in 2016, but he did kind of use like these top 3 red meat issues, whether it was Hillary Clinton or immigration or just like trade. It's his red meat, and it worked for him in 2016, and he's going back to what worked. And I think that's kind of just Trump's instinct. And I mean, I'm sure there's people on his campaign, and it will be really interesting. I mean, he does campaign on his, like, one of his campaign slogans was "Promises made, promises kept." But so far, just based on what this map shows, it hasn't been working. His base, I think, has stayed with him for the most part, but we've seen in recent polls that Trump has been slipping in support with older voters, suburban women, and college-educated voters. And we will see if he can expand his support, maybe with maybe he can garner more of the African American vote. Potentially, maybe he can get more like working class whites, which is kind of his base. Maybe he didn't even turn out in 2016. We will see. The one thing that I want to end on right now, though, is just to repeat what I said before. This is really not looking good for Trump, and it's looking a lot worse than it did in 2016 when no one thought he would win. And I think people are a little bit more optimistic this go around because they think there's the potential that the polls are just wrong again. But really, if I had to put money on it right now, like, I would put all my money on Biden, because I think the polls are a little better now. And I do think that Trump is going to improve in the polls, but I just don't think he can overcome just this drastic of a shift from the 2016 election. So, thank you for watching my video, and please let me know, like, what type of videos you like. In the past, I do a lot of electoral maps. This time around, I gave a little bit more political commentary. So please let me know in the comments, and subscribe here, and click the bell so you can get alerts whenever I post a new video. Thanks, guys, and see you tomorrow.